Welcome back, everybody. We have breaking news that we need to pass along to you this evening. NBC News has confirmed that former First Lady Betty Ford, the widow of Gerald Ford, has died. She was 93 years old, along with serving as First Lady from 1974 to 1977. She was known for her bravery as well as her candor in battling alcohol and drug dependency. Her successful recovery led to her to begin and start the very famous Betty Ford Clinic, which is near Palm Springs, California. She was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 1991 for her activism in that role, and her death follows the passing of the President Ford, in 2006. Andrea Mitchell is joining me now to talk more about the life and times of Betty Ford. And Andrea, this is very sad news that's coming this evening.
It's very sad news to the nation, to those of us who knew Betty Ford, those of us who viewed her as a role model and a mentor for women fighting breast cancer, for women being public for the first time about her fight against the disease. She and President Ford, when she first experienced her bout with breast cancer, were very public, very open about it. In fact, they had a photo opportunity in her hospital room out at Walter Reed to make it very clear to everyone that it was not something to be covered up, which back then in the 70s it was. It was later, after she left the White House, that she, of course, acknowledged that after a family moment with her where the children and the former president came to her and said that she had been too dependent on painkillers, had problems with alcoholism, that she in fact did confront that, and then of course that led to the Betty Ford Center. She was 93 years old. She'd been ailing for many years. She had before then come every June for a reunion of the Ford White House staff and cabinet, and also for a celebration of the Fords' wedding anniversaries and their birthdays in the summer months. So she was a frequent, at least an annual figure in Washington over those years, and many of us went to a conference that President Ford held, a bipartisan economic conference, in their summer home in Colorado for many, many years. She was just too frail, and the altitude was frankly too difficult for her. But in these declining years, she has lived, of course, in the desert in Palm Springs, last seen in Washington when she was here, of course, for the former president's funeral services, the state funeral for President Ford. So it is with great sadness that many of us have to share the news that Betty Ford has died at the age of 93.
Andrea, certainly though her legacy will live on with the Betty Ford Center and the thousands of people that have been helped by that treatment facility, and her candor and her openness about her own battle.
Indeed, she really was a breakthrough charismatic First Lady. We remember the style, the fact she was a former dancer. She had great style and great substance as First Lady, and she really was the first national figure to talk about her breast cancer so openly. Then later Nancy Reagan, of course, also did so during her tenure as First Lady. So she was a major figure for women. She supported the Equal Rights Amendment, which was never ratified, but she was very active in the women's rights movement and was very outspoken about her teenage daughter, Susan, living at the White House, going through the struggles of all teenage girls, having an adolescent in the White House. The sons and Susan, of course, are in our hearts tonight. Susan Ford Bales and all of their grandchildren and the great-grandchildren of Betty Ford. It was a loving and very, very close family. And she was a remarkable First Lady and a remarkable figure after she left the White House.
Certainly a nation's heartfelt condolences going out to all of the Fords tonight. Andrea Mitchell. Andrea, great to see you.